So I'm measuring the wood for the sides of this radio. And I'll show you what I did. So this is the radio side, and it's tapered. So what I did was I put the radio on here like this, and I just drew the line down the edge like that. I had this edge lined up straight with this back edge, and then I drew the contour after setting like that, the line here and the line here. Now this actually is countersunk a little bit, so I measured to the edge, and that's what I've got here. I'm getting ready to mark it so that I can cut it. So what we'll do is we'll get this ruler on both of those edges like that. Now I want to be a little bigger because I want to be able to sand it to size. So that should be a little bit bigger. What I'll do is I'll cut this one out, I'll sand it to size, and then I'll use it as the pattern for the opposite side. I'll try it on the other side too and make sure that it fits. But I got to get 2 of these, so trying to figure out the best way to cut this. It's actually fairly thin. I might be able to just do it with a razor blade knife. So I might try that. I'll see. Let me see what I can do. Yeah, so I used my razor blade knife, and I got this one trimmed off. Actually give me a nice clean edge. Good to sand to. So I'm going to try it on this other edge here and see. This one's running with the grain, so this one should actually work a little bit better. I got to make sure that I leave myself a little room for error. That worked pretty good. All right. So you can see I left myself a margin of error to sand to on all the sides except this one. So let me go take this over to my belt disc sander and see if I can get this where it's just right. I'll be back. Okay, so that's about as perfect as I can get it. I'm not perfect, but if I have the top, this edge flush with where it has to be, and the top edge flush where it has to be, bottom edge is flush, the back is where I want it. So I think that's pretty good. Now I just got to duplicate it for the other side. Let me see if I can get that done. Actually, you know what, before I do that, I'm going to make sure this seems like it works on the other side, because this thing might not be exactly the same before I go ruining a piece of wood. So line it up there and there. Yeah, it's pretty darn close. Alright, make another piece like this and I should be good. Okay, I got my 2 pieces made. Marked one right and marked one inside. Considering I made them 2 different times, they're about as close to being exact as I can do, short of sticking them together and doing a final sanding, but I don't want to do that because right now they're pretty much close to perfect. So save what I got here, and I don't know, maybe I will. Maybe I'll stick a piece of double side tape in there, a little piece, just to hold them from moving, and just do a quick by hand. You know, I can put it on a piece of sandpaper and go like that, and that can finish it up. But I think it's pretty darn good actually the way it is. But you know me, I'll probably do that anyway. So Then I got to make the piece for the top, which the top obviously was the whole purpose of the whole thing. If the top would have been like these, I wouldn't have been too worried about putting the wood on it, but I don't like the top. So I'm going to put real wood on it and stain it and clear it, and that'll be the outside of the radio. So let me go stick a piece of two-sided tape on here. No, you know what? I'm not going to let my OCD get to me. This is it. This is good enough. This is good enough. This is just a cheapy Japanese radio anyway, so I'm not losing a bunch of sleep over it. Alright, let me get the top made. Okay, so I got my 3 pieces. I just got through hitting them with 600 grit and my power sander. Get a nice smooth surface. And I was looking through my stain, and I found this espresso stain, it's called. And I did a sample stick off of a piece of that so I could get an idea how it was going to take the stain. And I think it's going to do okay. I'm going to shoot clear coat on it anyway, but let me compare it to the face. It might be a little bit darker and a little slightly different shade. It looks different actually on camera than it does in person. But yeah, I think it's close enough. I think it's close enough. Now I still got to get all these little paint specks off of here. You can see those. See the little paint specks? I'm hoping I don't damage this getting those paint specks off, but I got to get the paint specks off. Now if I wind up and damage this thing, I see it's got a big scratch across the face right here. I might wind up and just shoot this whole thing satin black and have the wood grain outside and the rest of this be satin black, and then go around the edges with the silver or the gold. I don't know. I got to think about it. I'll see how this comes out, I think, and then depending upon how it comes out, I'll have to make my decision. I'm going to go stain these. I shall return. We're back. So you guys remember that guard that was over the tuning shaft? Well, this is it. I was going to make a new one just out of fish paper, but the fish paper is actually quite a bit thinner than what this was. But this was breaking down quite heavily right where they had bent it. It was pretty fragile. So what I decided to do was just glue the fish paper to this and give it an extra layer of protection, and so that it won't break and it'll look better. So I did that with that one. I just got through cutting the hole out there. I'm getting ready to trim it to make it the same, and then I'll bend back to the bends. I did the same thing on that piece that was down underneath the circuit board. This is it here. I'm getting ready to cut that one out. This one actually was kind of brittle, and I had decided I wasn't going to do anything with it, and I was sitting there doing what I'm doing right now, and I snapped it right here. If you can see that or not, if I hold it just right. But anyway, so I went ahead and glued fish paper onto this one too. So I cut those out, and that's what I'm getting ready to do. I glued these. They've been sitting for about 36 hours, so the glue's all nice and set. Alright, so I got those pieces trimmed out. That's the way it was. That's the way it is. That one. Okay, I think turned out pretty good. I did want to show you the speaker. Remember how nasty that speaker was? Turned out pretty good, actually. So I cleaned it up, blew it out really well, and then this was pretty rusty, so I sanded all this off and I just shot everything with satin black. So it'll help strengthen the speaker cone, as well as make it look better. See a little speck there. And in the back, if you remember, it looked like it had burned up. I think that this was in a smoking house, and I had to scrub the living daylights out of this with polishing compound to get that goo off of it. But it turned out pretty good, so I'm happy with that. I did want to show you that transformation though. So anyhow, that's the speaker. We're getting close. I've got my order with Sal for the capacitors, and he has shipped them, so I should have them in a few days, and we can start putting this puppy back together again. I was also going to show you, I just pulled this out of the sack. Remember that line cord grommet? I got it out. This is one that actually turns it into a 90-degree turn. I'll show you that, maybe. There we go. So goes in this way and comes out this way. So I got that out, didn't damage it. I was actually surprised that I got it out. Have new line cord, new polarized line cord, all ready to go. Leads are tinned, and of course my heater kicked in on. But yeah, we're getting it piece by piece. I'm working on little bits and pieces of this, restoring them as I'm waiting for my parts to show up from Sal. So we're going bit by bit. Okay folks, so we're back, and I've got some really good news and I got some really great news. So for the really good news, I pretty much got all of the paint off of this, all those paint specks. A lot of scrubbing, but I got it, and it didn't tear the wood grain up. The really great news is I got my dial glass cleaned up. Look at that, huh? You'd never know that that end was all tore up down here. How did I do it, you ask? Well, a lot of hard work actually. I probably got 2.5 hours in that glass. I took it up in my kitchen sink and filled the sink up with hot soapy water, and that's how I got all the paint off. I scrubbed the heck out of it with a soft bristle scrub brush and kept looking, and a piece of cloth in there right there. I'm going to have to get out. Anyway, there we go. So anyway, and I had some 2000 grit wet dry sandpaper, so while I had it in the soapy water, I just started sanding the living daylights out of the bad spot until I finally got down into good plastic, and then I just started doing all of it. And once I got done with that, I brought it down here to the shop, and I got some rubbing compound and vigorously rubbed it using my finger with rubbing compound. And then once I got through rubbing both sides with rubbing compound, then I had polishing compound, and I rubbed vigorously with polishing compound. And I'm pretty happy. I mean, it's not crystal clear, but at least it's not full of scratches, and it's even all the way across. So now I can get on with finishing up restoring the face of this. I'm going to reshoot this black. As you can see here, the black has come off here. That's what the silver is you're seeing there. I'll shoot this black. I got to go back over this with gold or silver, whichever I decide to go with. Go over the letters. So I guess we'll get on with that. So I got the wood done for the sides and the top. Turned out pretty decent, I think. I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, I don't know that it's going to match up exactly with the front, but it is what it is. Also cleaned up this, reshot the black on that, so now it's ready for the wood. And then here's the front. I reshot the black on that. I'm getting ready to start going over it with the gold. I did this edge last night, and then my gold ran out, so I had to get some more gold and work on that. I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do silver on the letters. That's what it was before. The rest of it was gold. So we do that and we'll be back. So I got this done. Pretty happy with the way it turned out. You can see I got all my lettering back on my words on my GE and AM, FM, FM, AFC. Off tuning's all on there. Got my gold back on there. And all the edging, all the face. I mean, it's not, you know, absolutely perfect, but I'm not trying to build a new radio here either. I can make it look a little bit better, or at least close to what it did when it was new, and that's the whole idea. So I'm happy with that. So there's that, another piece done.